Hi guys, thank you so much for joining our workshop, Archie's workshop on voice apps. Joining me here today I have Chandra, who is Senior Software Engineer at Archie. He's leading a lot of our software development and app development efforts. Thank you for joining us.
Hello Arjun.
So in this workshop on voice apps, we're going to talk about what is voice apps, why is it important, why is it prevalent in today's day and age, and should someone build one? And if they decide to build one, what should they think about? So Chandra, I've been hearing a lot about voice apps, right? Especially in the context of artificial intelligence. Can you explain to me a little bit more about what are voice apps and why is it different from everything else out there?
Okay, so with the emergence of cloud technologies, there was a boom in websites. So whatever I can purchase flight tickets, I can buy some products off Amazon, everything moved to website. I open my browser, do something on my website. Then slowly, with more user interactions, things scaled down to your phone when everyone started using their mobiles. Then came the era of apps. So all the things which I can do using a website are now available on apps. And artificial intelligence and machine learning, natural language processing, these technologies moved this to the next level. Now is the era of voice apps, where you don't need an interface for users to interact. You don't need to touch, you don't need to type. You can just interact with, say for example, it's like being with another person. You just talk to your device and it's going to help you. You can book your flight tickets just by talking. You can buy a product just by talking.
That's really interesting. So everything else, websites, mobile apps, requires you to physically interact with a certain object or an interface.
Yes.
With voice, it's in the ether.
Yep.
It's very different. There's no actual physical interaction.
Yep. The space surrounding this is totally empty. And there's not many apps in this market as well.
How many apps are there?
I think Alexa has somewhere around 1,000 skills at max.
I think around 10,000 skills.
But most of these are like, okay, what is this? Get me what is the stock prices or what is this? Like just information based things.
Right.
They don't actually perform major functionalities right now.
Okay. And back in 2006, I bought the iPhone. I bought the first iPhone. Around 2011, I got Siri.
Yep.
That's about 6 years ago. And Siri had voice control.
Yes.
And I see all these videos on, hey Siri, tell me a joke, book an appointment, etc. How is Siri and today, like how is voice different today than it was when Siri came out 6 years ago?
Okay, so Apple actually took a giant leap when they introduced Siri, the voice interaction model. But originally Siri had a few issues. It was a regular bot. It was always an if else. If user says this, do this and this. We have seen many videos like Siri stupid answer videos or something like that. Yep. So from there till now, there was a huge advancement in machine learning, the neural nets. There are several services, WhatsApp, TensorFlow, etc. So these technologies actually help the bots do complex functionalities. Siri didn't have the complex functionalities. So you can't do like something like purchase an object on some third-party application. But with the technologies right now, you are actually able to do these things.
Amazing. Okay. So my takeaway from that is Siri was more rule-based and had a limited functionality, even though it was a lot of fun. However, nowadays you can have much more intensive computation, and I think it's also opening up to devs.
Yep.
They can build their own.
Now all the services actually open to devs for creating their own app.
And thing 3 would be the fact that Siri was on the phone.
Yep.
And now it's almost hardware device agnostic, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So so majorly there are like two things. One, you use the existing services. There are 3 services: Siri, then Alexa, and Google Voice.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Okay, let's stop for right now. These things already are built on top of their own natural language, their own AI systems. So it's actually easier for us to build against this. or rather you can use a native approach, build from scratch, use text to speech and other APIs, and use some voice recognition device, say a mic, and you can build your own voice assistant.
So it's opening up to the dev community. So third-party apps are being built on voice platforms.
Yep.
You're having the ability to have device agnostic
Yes.
applications. And thirdly, you're having neural nets helping you build a
Yes,
lot of these
exactly.
applications, not decision-based trees. Where do you think the future is for voice control?
Siri, I personally think, say, right now, you heard of IoT things where like smart homes, say I want to make a coffee. I just talk to my device and my coffee is ready at my home. It's that simple. It's like right now you are able to actually talk to your devices, get small things done. In future, there will be no human machine interaction in the form of interfaces. You will be talking to it like your friend, or I personally think it might replace some of your personal assistant, personal secretary too in your office.
I would love that. I would love that. Okay, another question. I think we talked a lot about how is voice different today than Siri's generation back in 2011 and all the different advances. My question to you is, let's say I'm a business. Let's say I'm a research advisory firm. And I have, my main business is, let's say, providing consulting services to my clients. How will a bot help me? And how do I think about the bot or the chat, the voice ecosystem?
Okay, so there are like few certain things to consider before like actually going into the development phase. So first thing is you need to realize the hardware. So what hardware do I have? What hardware do the users have access to? Not everyone has access to devices like this, Alexa or Google Home. So you need to first take this in mind.
And some experiences might have a natural tendency to be not a phone app, but a Google Home app, or be a phone app, or be a car app, right?
Yes, it's based on what user you want to target.
Right.
And second thing is the ease of user access. Say for example, most of my users have Google accounts associated with it. So then it's rather like I rather use Google Voice to create my app. So it goes that way, like based on the user interaction, the efficiency and other scalability. Yep, you choose. And the one more thing you need to consider is the voice app is not feasible for every single functionality. Say for example, I want a detailed report. A detailed report actually involves huge graphics like your pie chart, bar graph, detailed summaries and other. It's rather inconvenient to hear this sort of data using voice. So voice apps have a certain functionality. You can achieve functionality. Say for example, you can use your diagnostic, help me with this or do this, give me a prediction or something, but not give me a report, detailed report about this.
Okay. You talked a little bit about the different services, which is Alexa, Google, etc. Can you give me a little bit more context around what are the different services in the voice app ecosystem that helps us?
So before going into like, let's first start, where do you want to actually build the voice app? So first we need to picture out like, okay, what sort of functionalities do we need to achieve?
So can you give me an example? So let's say I'm Procter and Gamble, right? I'm a big company. I'm not going to have a voice app, delegate all my functions, my user-facing functions to a voice app. I can't. On the other hand, I can pick one specific intent or functionality.
Yes, intent or functionality.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe let's take an example, simpler example of a coffee shop.
Okay.
So with the coffee shop, you have, let me show it. So this is your coffee shop, and this is your invocation.
Invocation. What is an invocation?
So invocation is like an entry point into your app. So it's like, say for example, for Alexa or Google Home, it goes like, okay Google, talk to this. Or Alexa, do this, get me this. So invocation is the entry point to your app.
Interesting. So it's almost like a domain name.
Yes. So this is a rising market, and you need to actually fix your app name as fast as
So
possible. It's
let's
like
say
a
you have an
unique,
app
it's unique.
and the app is like Get Research.
Mhm.
Can I go and have an app and have Get Research as well as the invocation?
No, Get Research is rather like a generic name, right? So you can use something which is related to your company or like a small thing.
But can two people have the same invocation?
No, never.
It's unique.
It's
per
unique
application.
per application. It's like your app name on an app store or a website on domain name for your website.
So it's like, okay, Google.
Talk to Archie voice.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, so okay, Google would be the invocation to activate the device,
Yep.
and then my next command access the. It's almost like opening up
A
Chrome.
browser, and yeah, you can relate to it.
Right. Okay.
So, and you actually need to give a few training data points. Say, talk to coffee shop, get me coffee shop, hello coffee shop, and other things. So that's your invocation, and then you create. Let's take 3 examples. Okay, buying coffee
Mhm.
and buy a sandwich and order status. These are 3 functionalities you want to achieve.
Before we jump here, I just want to address all of the folks who might have joined us now. Give them a quick recap, and then we can touch back on this.
Mhm.
Okay? So we are talking about voice apps. We've been hearing a lot about things like Google Home, Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, and a lot of third-party companies are building apps for these ecosystems. We are investigating what is the voice app ecosystem, is it relevant, and if a business decides to actually build an app, what should they consider, and why would it be useful, and what kind of situations would it be useful. And so Chandra is here with me, senior engineer at Archie.AI, who's leading our application development. And we're talking about invocations. Invocations are the commands that are unique to every application.
Yep, they are unique.
That's used to open your application
It is a trigger to your app.
within
The
like,
device. Whether a Google Home device or
Yeah.
Alexa.
yeah. So okay, so let's start off again with the invocation.
So invocation, it always goes like Alexa, talk to Archie voice, or talk to coffee shop, hail a coffee shop. You need to give some sort of training data upon which the device, the voice assistant trains itself. And with the invocation, let's say we want to achieve 3 functionalities: buy coffee, buy a sandwich, and get me the customer order status. So these are called actions.
These, okay.
Yep. Each thing is a different action.
And within one of these ecosystems, is there a finite number of
Now,
actions?
you can have any number of actions.
Really?
It depends on the functionalities you want to achieve.
Okay.
So each action
But
has.
that seems very laborious, no? Like, let's say I want to do all of them, like let's say I have 100 actions for Archie's case.
Yep. In fact, Archie has somewhere around 258 actions.
Okay.
So what we actually did is, with the invocation, you need to have a default action, which is greeting. Usually it is a greeting, so it always says hello or hi. It's a greeting action. So we started off there and transferred the control from the Google Assistant to Archie, so that we don't actually need to create all the 258 actions on Google, because we already have them on Archie.
So we're sending it back to our native
Yeah,
application.
native application, and creating a loop such a way that we are putting the user always in a conversation. He's always in the conversation. Do you need this? Then okay, here's your response. What else do you need? Okay, so it goes on to a loop. So the transfer is given to Archie rather than staying in the device.
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about these 3 actions here for the example of a coffee shop.
Yep.
You can buy a coffee, buy a sandwich, or check order
Yep.
status.
Each functionality is a different action, and each action will have intents.
Mhm.
So say for example, let's buying a coffee is an intent. So with each intent, you need to actually train the voice app
Mhm.
certain, at least 5 examples. Okay, I wish to buy a coffee might be one. I want coffee, or like something else. So 5 examples you give, and the voice assistant identifies the intent that the user actually wants to buy a coffee, and it gives to our app, and from there we have fulfillment. This is our fulfillment. Fulfillment happens when the user's intent is completed. Say for example, buying a coffee does not actually give us all the information we need to make the fulfillment.
So that's a great point, right? So in order to buy a coffee, there are a couple of parameters I probably need, like what kind of coffee and what size of coffee, right?
Yeah.
So how do I train? So let's say a user says, I want a vanilla latte, venti, whatever, right? How do I train the system to understand these are the two parameters
Yeah.
that would actually help with fulfillment?
Yeah. So what we can do is right now all the services actually provide a way to access parameters.
Okay.
So these are called parameters. So you can actually define a statement. Let's say X is the parameter for the type of coffee, Y is the parameter for the size of the coffee. So whenever a user says, okay, I want to buy X, you actually define X and Y before creating the intent. Examples of the intent. I want to buy X of Y. So X and Y. So it goes like this. I want to buy a mocha of size XL.
Right.
It goes like, you can actually give different forms of example. Let me have a large cappuccino.
Right.
So you use sort of examples this way, and the user actually, the voice app actually identifies the parameters and gives them to us.
Okay. So just want to make sure I got that. You would create a series of sentences that have those parameters you need.
Yep, that's
so
right.
I need a large coffee, black. I need a vanilla latte, small. You'd create a series of sentences like this.
Yes.
And then you would train the AI agent,
Yes.
right? And then the AI agent would be able to figure out, okay, this sentence has both these values, the X value and the Y value.
Yes.
These are arbitrary values in the training.
Yes. And just in case you don't actually have these parameters with you, you can actually question the user back. So it's like, okay, I want a cappuccino, and we didn't get the size of the coffee right now. So we can actually create a follow-up asking what size do you want, and then the user responds back with large.
So you would create a training data set with all the different responses a customer might provide, within which those X and Y parameters can be found. And then sometimes when X and Y cannot be found, it comes back, oh, X parameter is vanilla latte, but Y parameter, which is the size of the coffee, is missing. So there's an automatic loop back to the user, which is an auto response, which is, hey, what size do you want?
Yes.
And this loop will continue happening until the system registers.
Until user receives all the parameters,
Okay.
and then it goes to the fulfillment.
Okay,
So
cool.
fulfillment, okay, let's talk about fulfillment. Fulfillment is, it might be a web service or a static thing. Say for example, tell me a joke might be a static fulfillment. It tells you a joke. Or book a flight ticket might be using some sort of web service. It might actually connect to your existing application.
I want to, so that point about connecting to your existing application, I think is very exciting, because I feel a lot of our viewers are existing businesses who have existing functions, and voice apps is something that complements their user experience, not the core user experience. So how do I create a voice app that connects to my existing application for existing fulfillment operations?
So Google Assistant and Alexa have released their SDKs. It's called Actions SDK and Skills SDK. So with these SDKs, you can actually create responses in form of what is required for the voice thing and send it back. So this SDK stays on your server, this receives the incoming request and performs whatever operation.
And in
buying
what format?
something.
XML or JSON?
We use JSON.
Okay, so we
We
have
send JSON to
Yeah.
the server, and it accesses it and responds back with the JSON.
So I have an interaction with one of these devices. This is an Amazon Echo Dot, which runs the Alexa software, and this is Google Home, which runs Google Assistant. So now let's say I give it an invocation, and I give it the sentence my request. It pulls those two parameters, let's say coffee large, and it sends it to my existing application,
Yeah.
not a new application, my
No,
existing
no.
application.
Yes.
And then my existing application, I send it to it in JSON format.
Yes.
But I can send it in any format, or?
No, we use a HTTP request.
Okay.
It actually sends HTTP request, so usually it's a JSON format.
And then my existing application would execute the function like it usually does.
Yes.
It's just like the data
Like
application.
you might have some functionality regarding this on your website.
Right.
The same thing. Also, we can connect it with the voice
Okay.
app.
Very cool. So it sounds like it's almost an additional way for customers to interact with you,
Yes.
right? In the core product, it's the same.
Yes. That,
Oh, very
absolutely.
cool. Okay.
And the good part with this is the response which you are going to send back is customizable. It's not just for the voice device. You can actually put it on the Google Voice Assistant on your phone, because like there are some people who actually use it on their phone, right? So to the phone you can actually send things like images, web links which user can interact with, and the voice thing can only receive the voice part of it.
Okay. Very cool.
So yep, and the fulfillment, and it goes back.
Okay. And in terms of what I can do with my voice app, right? I've been hearing that there are a lot of limitations about the different functions you can do on voice. Can you talk a little bit about that and talk to me about, are there any limitations, or is that like am I misinformed?
Earlier, yes, there used to be a slight problem when creating transactions. Say I want to buy something on Amazon using my voice. It's actually not possible till recently. Even right now, it's not available to the public. But yes, Google and Alexa are trying to include transactions into the voice. So you can actually say this. Okay, so let's talk to Alexa. Find me some shoes on Amazon, and then it goes like this. Okay, here are the shoes, and then okay, this looks good. I want to buy this, and Alexa says, okay, do you want me to confirm this? And if you say yes, your payment is done, and your shoe is at your home. And all this is seamlessly integrated to the devices, to the assistants. You don't need to actually perform the
But
clicks.
let's say I say, okay, Alexa, buy me these shoes. I love these shoes, these Chuckies, and I want to buy size 9. How does it go ahead and actually purchase it? Doesn't it need a PIN or a password?
Yeah, we use Google uses wallet accounts which are
But how do I confirm? Let's say, are you sure you want to confirm this purchase?
Mhm.
Does it ask me that, or can I?
Yes, it is supposed to ask you that.
Okay.
It will ask you, can I confirm this, and then your payment gets done, and
So I think that's key for a lot of these voice apps, just to confirm with the person, hey Chandra, you want me to do this, is that correct?
yes,
For especially high value or high risk functions, they
yes,
confirm with the user and the user is able to approve it. Another question I have is, let's say you have an accent,
Mhm.
I have an accent, and we know people from across the world.
Mhm.
They all speak English, but they all speak with different accents.
Mhm.
How does the system understand people across different geographies?
So when I originally started using the Google device, I had slight troubles with it understanding my accent. But over a period of time, it trains in itself. It uses reinforcement learning to train itself with the voice recognition and other things. It actually recognizes the voice of the user appropriately. Right?
Is
now
this
I can-
localized machine learning?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool. And Chandra, you've been working on something extremely exciting at Archie.
Mhm.
And I believe you'll be launching it to the world in 1 week's time. I was wondering, for anybody who joined us, I think we don't have a lot of viewers, but the folks who have joined us, as a treat, is there something we can show them about the upcoming release next week?
Okay, let me warn you, this is like under development and test version.
Right.
Okay, just let's, okay Google, talk to Archie voice.
All right, let's get the test version of Archie voice.
Archie here. I am ready.
What's my traffic?
In the last 7 days, your traffic was 1,936, down 6.52% from the previous week. Anything else I can help you with?
When is my traffic in last week?
In the last 7 days, your traffic was 1,936, down 6.52% from the previous week. Anything else I can help you with?
When did I receive most traffic from?
In the last 7 days, you got the most traffic on Monday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., which is 95.77% of all visits. Anything else I can help you with?
Send an email about this to Arjun.
Your email has been sent. Do you need anything else?
Bye.
Isn't it cool?
We have a user question from Doronin Roman. Doronin is asking, you talk about NLP or NLU or using voice messengers?
So, and
Can
then
you clarify the question?
Doronin Roman asks, you talk about NLP-NLU or using voice messenger? I guess he's asking, are you guys talking about NLP or NLU using voice
Thank you
messenger?
for the question.
Yep. NLP and NLU right now we can put it in two ways. The voice services which like Alexa and Google Assistant are using right now, they already categorize these text to speech using NLP and NLU by themselves and let out the parameters of information and intents what we need, like an API format. If you actually want to build the voice app from the scratch, yes, you will be required to use NLP and NLU to create first recognition from voice to text, and then use NLP and NLU to process it, identify the intent from it, classify it, and then process the response and give it back in voice format.
Dorian, thank you for that question, because now I want to address this topic. What is the difference between using a service like Watson or Google as opposed to building my own neural net, my own natural language classifier, my own voice app, completely native?
So yeah, these devices and services are already sitting atop of their existing neural nets. Perfect. So they have huge amounts of training data from numerous users who are actually using these devices, using these services, and we don't actually need to train it in recognition as well as understanding part, the NLU and voice recognition part. So it's much simpler to pull out their APIs and create our apps on top of these things.
Is this
Rather than actually using our scratch. And there's one more advantage is, if you are actually creating from scratch, you need the hardware and the software to it. But the Google devices are available with the public, right?
you're buying the hardware on
Yes.
a per usage basis?
Yes.
And when it comes to creating the classifier, because let's say Watson has an existing API for natural language classifier. However, if I start using Watson's natural language classifier and I say, how's my business doing? Watson will have no idea what that means. I have to train it on that specific use case, that specific vernacular and lingo. So how do we still have to do that when building a voice app?
For Archie, yes, we are using both Watson and the Google Voice Assistant.
Okay.
So we are like understanding the recognition, voice recognition, the intent from the Google, transferring the control to our Archie, using Watson to classify the information what user is requesting, processing the data, what is he asking for traffic or revenue, what is he asking, and then redirecting back to Google Voice.
Awesome. And Chandra, I think we've talked a lot about what is voice apps, why is it getting more popular, how can we actually build on it, and why should you build on it? Because it's not appropriate for everybody. For some people who have a specific function or intent, it is applicable. Where do you see this going in the future?
So, let me walk through your scenario.
Okay.
And this is not a scenario which is like in future. It's actually happening right now.
Okay.
Let's say, and I leave it up to you to imagine what future is going to be like.
Sounds good. Okay.
So say I'm the vice president of a firm. I get back to my office today morning, early morning. I want to understand how's my business going for the past week. So right now, I don't need to ping a secretary. I can just talk to my device right here. How is my business doing? What's my traffic? What's my revenue? and it's going to give me back with all the data points I need on the go. And okay, so I found an anomaly there, and maybe I need to head out to my head office in New York. And you and me are going all the way to New York. We are driving on our way, and suddenly, me being a guy, I forgot to book my tickets. And I'm driving, and you're like, okay, Chandra, you forgot your tickets. And I like, okay, let's book it on the go. And I just talk to my device, book my tickets to New York, and I have my tickets to New York.
Awesome. I don't have to touch anything.
You don't need to touch, you don't need to do anything, you just talk.
So, awesome. So, Chandra, Pradyumna, Adusumali, thank you so much for joining us. I believe you'll be launching a big surprise for everybody next week. I think there's a lot of people here who want to reach out to you if they have questions building voice apps. What's the best way to reach you?
I'm available always on my email. It's chandra@eurekaking.com, chandra@eurekaking.com. And you can ping me anytime regarding questions regarding any development issues, or if you actually need to create the voice app, the flowchart, how do I design shows, I'm ready now.
And I believe you're putting up a blog post that people can read sometime this week.
Yep. So I'm documenting all the resources and putting it on Archie.AI website, our website. So it will be there on Archie.AI/resources. You can look into the blogs, I'm putting up some of the resources I use for development of this. Some APIs will be put out there as well. Feel free to check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Please join us this Wednesday, where we'll have another workshop from our garage in San Francisco. Thank you.